My man Kendrick Perkins on ESPN called it an embarrassment. Said it's the biggest collapse in NBA history. I don't know if I'm going to get that hyperbolic, but I'm going to tell you this. We have no choice but to look at Kevin Durant differently, along with Devin Booker and Bradley Beal. Okay? Because we got to look at this for what it's worth. The Miami Heat may have created the super team model with LeBron James, D. Wade, and Chris Bosh, but the Phoenix Suns may have killed it with the three names that I mentioned. The Suns began the season with championship aspirations led by their ultra-talented big three. We all know that, but the team could never stay healthy, find a rhythm, and ultimately ended the season yesterday when they were embarrassed via a sweep at the hands of a young Minnesota Timberwolves squad led by a 22-year-old that seems to have a fire in his belly that we've been looking for from those other dudes that we mentioned in Phoenix. Let's count the ways. Bradley Beal is getting paid $50 million next year. Kevin Durant is getting paid $50 million next year. Devin Booker is getting paid $49 million next year. The Phoenix Suns are committing to $150 million with these three. Okay? And the team ain't good enough. They ain't good enough. Now, why was that? Yes, you didn't have a point guard. You let go of CP3 and Devin Booker's no point guard. Yes, you didn't have a rim protector because DeAndre Ayton, you let go of him and sent him to Portland. And ultimately, you got Nurkic here, who's a bit undersized compared to DeAndre Ayton, and certainly no rim protector. All of that's fine, good, and dandy. That ain't the problem. Let me tell you what the problem is. The big three wasn't a big three. Bradley Beal, you come from Washington. You would think that with how many years you've been starving for relevancy as a player, that once you had the opportunity, we would see that brother putting on the show, scoring. Now, I know you missed a lot of games, and I know the three of y'all were on the court together, okay? Only like 41 games. I believe your record at the time was like 26-15. Well, you were on the court together when you were in the series. And the Phoenix Suns got their ass kicked. Now, in the case of Devin Booker, somebody that I, in the past, have called Kobe-esque. Well, part of Kobe is that Anthony Davis factor, where I'm here, and it's my turn, and I'm taking the hell over. I'm going to bust your ass. That's what Anthony Edwards did. That's what Anthony Edwards did. Devin Booker scored points when you were at home. You did the same thing against Denver last year. Y'all got smoked the first two games, and then you went home and you played lights out against Denver those two games. The difference is you tied up that series and then ultimately lost the 6 to Denver, whereas in this series you couldn't even win the game. But the pattern is similar. On the road, not much. At home, in front of your home crowd, you go ballistic offensively, but it doesn't end up being good enough in the grand scheme of things. Couple of years ago, you get blown out in the Game 7 against Luka Doncic and the Dallas Mavericks. Yesterday, you got swept. And so I don't think his reputation is looking that good right now. I don't think Bradley Beal's reputation is looking that good right now. But I also got to look at Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant is a two-time champion. He is a two-time champion and a two-time NBA Finals MVP. We already know that he's one of the greatest players in NBA history. Nobody can deny that. And I'm not about to sit here and try. He's Kevin Durant. And I know that. But do you know that since Kevin Durant has departed from Steph Curry, he hasn't made it out of the second round? That means he hasn't been in a conference championship series nor an NBA Finals series. He's Kevin Durant. And it hasn't happened. Ultimately, when you look at Kevin Durant's resume, in this series, he averaged 26.8 points on 55% shooting, 42% from three-point range. He did his job. He did his job when it comes to playing. Grayson Allen, well, he injured his ankle, so he didn't play games 3 and 4. But ladies and gentlemen, in the first two games, he only had a total of 7 points on 1 of 5 shooting. Might as well have sit him. What difference does it make? He wasn't doing shit anyway. So now he's gone. Now you got a situation with Kevin Durant. It's never pleasurable to say this. I know that people like himself and folks in his camp are never pleased when I say this, but I said it before and I'll say it again. I told y'all that when he departed from Oklahoma City, okay? And then he ultimately departed from Golden State. When he decided to leave Steph Curry to go and join Kyrie Irving, I told y'all he would unless he won, he will forever be seen as the guy who left Steph Curry for Kyrie Irving. Now, that's not necessarily a bad thing because Kyrie Irving is a champion and Kyrie Irving is playing lights out. He dropped 40 yesterday against Dallas, but it just doesn't look good. And when you talk about the legacy of Kevin Durant, we don't talk about him in the same breath that we talk about LeBron James or the Kobes of the world and others. I never thought that I'd believe for 1 second that there's going to come a point in time where Kevin Durant is going to be an afterthought in NBA annals. Because he was that great. Once upon a time, I had Kevin Durant as the best player on the planet. I thought he was the best player on the planet Earth. I would have rather had him than LeBron back in the day. Because I thought he was that prolific. He was that sensational. But I would have been wrong. Because somehow, some way, LeBron is able to peel stuff out of people that Kevin Durant cannot. Not in Brooklyn, not in Oklahoma City before that, not in Phoenix now. And a couple of items before I move on to my next subject. Number one, I don't know if Kevin Durant's going to be there. Because if you're Matt Ishbia, the owner for the Phoenix Suns, who thought that he had the best roster in basketball and said that publicly, if you're Matt Ishbia, here's the question. Why keep this team together? Why not use the assets that you have available to get picks? Oklahoma City's got a bunch of assets. Not that I think that Kevin Durant will want to go back there, but they got an abundance of assets. And you know who else does too? The New York Knicks. New York Knicks got 11 first-round picks over the next 7 years. If I could get my hands on Kevin Durant to be a New York Knick, that would be phenomenal. Him and Brunson has him to rely upon, it would be sensational. I just don't know if it'll happen. But Kevin Durant is being looked at differently today. He really, really is. And it ain't because of his basketball skills and his basketball numbers and his basketball prowess. It's because of self-inflicted wounds he's created with the decisions he made. He should have went to New York instead of Brooklyn. And if you're going to go to Golden State, stay in Golden State. Should have never left. But now here he is. So it is what it is. But I'm going to stay on Phoenix for a couple of reasons. Number one, I don't expect Frank Vogel, the head coach, to keep his job. I'm not saying he deserves to be fired. I'm saying it would have shocked me if he is. Because he never had the pulse of the team, and now you got swept in your first year on the job. I think he's going to be one and done in Phoenix as the head coach.